The year was 2001, a new millennium, and an interesting time for photography because while film was still calling the shots, a new medium was creeping its way forward and would eventually take over as the preferred method of capturing light. At this point though, how much of an impact the pixel would make was still under a lot of speculation, and no one really knew just how far it would go. In the March 2001 issue of Popular Photography, Michael J. McNamara took up the mantle as defender of film in a 7-page thesis as to why, despite the advancement of digital technology, film was here to stay. Hi everyone, my name is Azriel Knight, and on today's episode of This Old Camera, we take a look at film versus digital, a 2001 Odyssey. In order to understand this article more, we need to know a little bit about the author. Michael J. McNamara at this point was the technology editor for Popular Photography. He had been since 1991 and would go on to be until 2008. So he absolutely has some credit here. This isn't just written by a freelancer, but one of the editors. McNamara also maintained a Bachelor of Science degree in Imaging and Photographic Technology from the Rochester Institute of Technology and held a position as Associate Professor there. He has some other interesting credentials, but for the most part, those are the ones pertaining to photography. He opens his article by stating, "Are the digital evangelists who declare film is dead correct? Is it time to trade in your 35mm APS and medium format cameras for digital counterparts before it's too late?" The answer to both these questions is a resounding no. It's fairly evident right from the launch of his rant that he prefers film and is digging his heels in that corner of the ring. The pro-digital doomsayers who predict film's rapid demise are full of hot air. Film is not dead. Not even dying for that matter. Granted, digital cameras are exciting and newsworthy, but film-based cameras are still easier to use and much more affordable. On top of that, films are finer grained and sharper than ever, prints from film are cheaper and longer lasting than their digital counterparts, and film-based cameras are still outselling digital nearly 5 to 1. About the only thing you can truthfully say about film-based products at this point is that they're facing the stiffest competition they've ever encountered from digital cameras, printers, and imaging systems. But we don't think film is going to fade away the way LPs did after CDs hit the scene. He continues by saying that some predict, in less than 5 years, film use will be relegated to a small number of fine artists and anti-tech renegades attracted to the overall analog look and feel, and the rest will be trading in their film-based cameras for super high-resolution digital ones. I find his unwavering confidence fascinating. I mean, we all know what happened in the next 5 years. Digital exploded, and while it could be argued that film was still not dead then, or that it ever fully died, it's irrefutable that the photography industry began to pivot in favor of pixels. To me, this opening statement smacks of something that the CEO of Blockbuster would say about the rise of Netflix. He also seemed to mock industry predictions with statements like the following. Most local mini labs will be replaced by digital kiosks in a wide variety of stores and online processing labs, and home darkroom setups will be swapped for cheap computers and photo-quality inkjet printers that even a 2-year-old can operate. But our favorite prediction tops these. For nature photographers and others in a real hurry, wireless transmitters built into digital cameras will soon whisk image files to a digital lab or online album so photographers can spend all day shooting without running out of memory. What is his reasoning for dismissing what the experts are saying, by the way? Well, he claims that these analysts are among the same cadre who recently predicted that over 5,000 shopping malls would go out of business in the next decade due to the growing popularity of internet shopping. An unlikely scenario for some customers who are still waiting for holiday gifts to arrive in mid-February. Boy, is he in for a surprise. Talk about not being able to see the Amazon from the trees. He spends some time talking about how the digital camera revolution is being compared to when CDs took over vinyl, that unlike LPs, CDs don't damage as easy, and there's a benefit to the replacement. While attempting to make a point on film convenience, he says that whenever you feel like it, you can drop off your film at a local mini lab, go about your business, and then come back in an hour to pick up 36 4x6-inch prints for about $8 to $15. He seems to forget the instant nature of digital photos, the ability to produce unlimited copies, and while it would be a couple of years before the consumer-level camera could produce much more than 36 images on its memory at a reasonable cost, everything could be backed up without leaving your home. I also find that McNamara puts way too much stock in people's desire to have physical prints. While it's fairly obvious he's in favor of film, he does give a pretty level-headed approach to his pros and cons list for film and digital, each getting about a third of the first and second page of his rant. You can pause to read them all if you like, but the highlight for me is the short-sightedness of quality, which would explode in just under 5 years with the Canon 5D. The negatives that he lists are all things that we are well aware of, like dust, storage, organization, mixed lighting, etc. The pros listed for digital are things we now take for granted, like portability, convenience, shooting video with sound, affordability, and the absence of a processing lab. His cons include the fragility of LCDs, battery life, and confusion around techie definitions. Man, what a boomer statement. I don't understand these megapixels. There is one argument that McNamara makes that I wholeheartedly agree with. I mean, I agree with him on a few points, but this is one that bugs me the most about digital cameras, especially high-end ones. He says, for film shooters, the fact that you can choose from a wide variety of film types, speeds, and sizes is a real advantage. With the digital camera, you lock yourself into the CCD or CMOS sensor built into the camera. As the years go by, newer digital cameras will inevitably blow yours away with improved image quality, larger storage cards, and faster processing speeds. Meanwhile, film shooters with 20-year-old cameras just pop in the latest films and enjoy improved image quality without having to purchase another camera. He's 100% right. Think about how amazing it would be to have a DSLR or mirrorless that could swap between color, black and white, and infrared sensors, and keep the same body when there are breakthroughs in sensor technology. Imagine being able to buy the same camera but choose between crop sensor and full frame, or opting for a stronger body with more features but less megapixels. It's funny because he loses me almost immediately after by saying that one of the advantages of film is being able to digitally scan the negatives or request a CD from your local lab. While he's right, he's using a digital solution to make an analog argument. We are given a side-by-side cropped comparison of film versus digital, in this case Fujicolor Xperia 100 loaded into an Olympus Stylus Zoom 105 versus the Sony Cybershot DSC P1. It's pretty obvious that the film shot is sharper, but you can already see where the advancements are headed. I've said this before, but if everything just came down to image quality, everyone would shoot with an 8x10 large format camera. Time and again, people have underestimated how much quality the general population will sacrifice for convenience. He touches on something else we all have now, cameras on our phones, which according to him is big with teenagers in Japan, and fears the US will soon be littered with cell phone towers, which he refers to as high-tech fungus. Again, I say, he is in for a big surprise. What I also find interesting is his lack of foresight regarding printing. He spends a considerable amount of his efforts saying that a digital lab will not compare to a home darkroom or drugstore mini lab, and maybe it's just obvious to me because of hindsight and all, but the digital image does not need a print. It can be and often is the final result. Even you analog shooters out there cannot deny that your final image is often a digital copy, being shared on social media and stored on a hard drive. So while in a sense he was right that a home printer cannot compare, digital shooters just chose not to print at all. Another side-by-side comparison was a high ISO test, and I use the term tongue-in-cheek because it's only 800 ISO. This time it's a Nikon F5 versus a D1, and I compliment him not only for using Nikons, but high-end cameras to compare. Earlier, McNamara mentioned that film will continue to evolve, and the jury is out on that, but ISO sensitivity in digital cameras has exploded, while film seems to be trapped in the 3200 range without additional push processing. The remainder of the article is split up into 4 rounds of film versus digital cameras, each in their own weight class. The SLR versus DSLR, ZLRs, which refers to SLR-style cameras with a fixed lens, high-end point-and-shoots, and lightweight point-and-shoots. In round 1, with SLRs versus DSLRs, he concedes that, with so many similarities between digital SLRs and film-based SLRs, there's no obvious winner this round, but goes on to say that digital offers better color than slide or print film, a controversial statement even today, depending on who you ask. The film advantage remains the initial cost savings, and he warns that when the digital SLRs break the $1,500 barrier, film SLRs are going to hear the warning bell. ZLRs were also pretty neck and neck, and the point-and-shoots. There's a lot of back and forth regarding price and features, but no clear winner. This begs the question of how he was able to be such a blind advocate for film and then give a level-headed comparison. I don't think McNamara denied that the digital world would be making a big splash as time went on, but it's pretty evident that he figured the two mediums were going to share equal parts of the same pie, and that's just not what happened. While many of my viewers will say that film never died, as far as being used in the industry, it's the exception and not the rule. Anytime a photographer or a videographer uses film, it makes headline news because it's so rare. Both Canon and Nikon, who are titans of the era, released their last 35mm SLRs in 2004, just 3 years later, and that was the beginning of the end of film in the mainstream. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Consider becoming my patron on Patreon, and thanks to those of you who are already members. Sign up for my monthly newsletter so you don't miss a video or anything else I do. And until next time, stay classic.